Okay.
Good afternoon, everyone. I hope you're all well. Continue to be well. Continue to be careful. God willing, we'll all get through this. In the parshas of the Torah that we read now, so Moshe Rabbeinu is, so to speak, the star. He's the main character. He's the one that Kaviochel, God, has conversations with. And he is the one that warns Paro. Tells Paro what's going to happen if you don't let the Jewish people go, etc. Accompanying him in all of this is his brother Aaron. But Aaron, in the story as the Torah relates it, is a very passive and silent person. We don't know what his reaction is. We know that Moshe complained to the Ribono Shel Olam at the end of last week's parsha. Hatzelo hiksalta samecha. You didn't do what you said you were going to do. You said you're going to save them. You didn't save them. Umeoz bosi el paro heira lo maseh. Not only that, from the time that I came to Paro till today, it got worse instead of better. And the Ribono Shel Olam Kaviochel responds to Moshe. And that's the beginning of this week's parsha. Ve'era el Avraham el Yitzchak el Yaakov Shmi Hashem lo nodati lohem. And as I mentioned to you, Rashi says, Chaval al di'abdin v'lo mishtachim. Too bad those who are lost, whom I once had that I could rely on, Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, I don't find them today, right? Today's generation are complainers. You have no patience, Moshe. Where's Aaron in all of this? So there are a few insights here that the Meforshim deal with, and that generally will characterize for us Aaron throughout the rest of the Chumash, and will help explain the difference between Kohen and Novi, between the Kohen who serves in the Beit HaMikdash and the Melech, or the leader of the people. They are not identical. Not only are they not identical, the Torah didn't want them to be identical. They didn't want it wrapped up in one person. And that was one of the complaints that the rabbis had against the Chashmonoim. The Chashmonoim were Kohanim. So don't take the Malchus, don't take to be the leader, the political leader of the people. That's not the job of the Kohen. And that's what the Eliezer ben Pohiro said to Yanai HaMelech in the Talmud. Rav l'cha keser kahuna, isn't it enough that you have the crown of the priesthood? Hanach l'cha keser malchus. Forget about the crown of being the royal head of the people, the king. And that reflects itself throughout Jewish history. Both in Bayis Rishon and Bayis Sheni. So what about Aaron? Well, the first thing that we see about Aaron is that the Ribono Shel Olam says to Moshe at the burning bush, he says, go back to Egypt. Moshe apparently is troubled. Aaron is his older brother. Not only Aaron is his older brother, Aaron stayed in Egypt for all of the problems. He suffered all the indignities and the tzarot. And now Moshe shows up after being in Midian, outside of everything. Now he shows up to be the boss. So Moshe is afraid that there will be a moment of a flash of resentment. Aaron will somehow feel that he has been cheated. He's entitled to be the leader of the people. He's entitled to be the one that is the redeemer of Israel. His younger brother is an upstart. Now he comes. Where was he at the beginning? Ran away. Had to save himself. He ran away. He wasn't here with us. So the Rebbeinu Shalom testifies, "V'roacha, your brother Aaron will see you v'samach b'libo, and he'll be happy. Not just happy on the outside. Oh, how great to see you. They'll embrace. You know, all the gangsters always hug each other before they kill each other. Samach b'libo. In his heart, he'll be happy. He'll really be happy. He'll sincerely be joyous. A, that you're back, and B, that you're the leader. There's not a moment of jealousy. There's not any feeling whatsoever within our own that somehow Moshe has gained this position at his expense. So that's one characteristic of Aaron. Aaron doesn't know jealousy. Unfortunately, in families, many times, we saw it in the families recorded for us in Chumash Bereshis, sibling rivalry can become very bitter. And has all sorts of consequences. Aaron doesn't know from it. It's not part of his makeup. That's why he says he's Ohev Shalom, Rodev Shalom, Ohev Sabrios, Mekorvan LaTorah. Because that's his nature. You can only love people if you don't begrudge people. And every time you see somebody that has a bigger car than you do and you begrudge him, you can't be an Ohev Shalom. That is an important lesson. Very important lesson. Aaron is the spokesman. As Moshe said, I can't speak well. Aaron will speak for you. So Aaron is the one that spoke, right? We don't find that Aaron claims credit ever for having done that. Aaron is the one who delivers the first 3 makot. I discussed this earlier this week. Dam Tzvardei Akinim, those makot were delivered by Aaron because Moshe couldn't do it because it would be kofui tovo. It would be a sign of ingratitude. Yet we don't find anywhere that Aaron claims credit. He doesn't say, you know, I'm the co-redeemer of Israel. I also did something. We only know Moshe Motzion Mitzrayim. Moshe took him out of Egypt. So Aaron is willing to be very reticent about his role. He doesn't push himself. He doesn't say, look at me. Look at what I'm entitled to. And we find that Aaron is always a quiet person. The Torah will tell us later, at the moment of great tragedy in the life of Aaron, says, Vayidom Aaron, Aaron was quiet. So the Mefarshim say it's not only that he was quiet then, at that terrible moment, that he was always quiet. Silence is golden. It's the greatest weapon a person has. Mila besela, ashtika betray. Words are worth a sela, which is a large coin. But silence, betray, is worth two. Ayidom Aaron, Aaron is always quiet. And sometimes silence is much more effective than anything that a person can say. And sometimes in the silence of a person, you hear and you appreciate what the person is. It's more revealing than words or statements. Therefore, Kaviyachol Ribono Shalom also describes himself as silent. Kol Demomo Daka, great silent moment. That's where you hear the eternal, the ineffable. You don't hear it in the cacophony of sound that surrounds us. Silence. Quiet. The Mefarshim say that when Aaron wore the garment, the tunic of the Kohen Gadol, so it had bells on the bottom of his tunic, like an overcoat, the me'il. It says, V'nishma kolo bevo el HaKodesh. You heard his voice when he came into the holiness, to the Holy of Holies, to the Mishkan, to the Beis HaMikdash. You heard the bells, you didn't hear Aaron say anything. The bells were his voice. The fact that he was serving God and the Jewish people, that was his voice. But he didn't say anything. He didn't advance any self-aggrandizement. So if you take all of these allusions to Aaron that exist throughout the Chumash, and also, Sifsei Choen Yishmu Das, the Torah Yavakshu Mipiu, Ki Malach Hashem Tzvokov, so he's an angel. An angel is not jealous. An angel is not guilty of hubris. An angel only operates on the will of God. So if the Kohen is a Malach Hashem Tzvokos, he's an angel of God, that's the description of a Kohen. And who is the Kohen? Aaron is the Kohen. That's why the Lord blessed him throughout all generations, that his descendants should serve as the Kohanim for the Jewish people. And that is the reward for all of the goodness and morality that are contained within his character, that is reflected in this week's Parsha, when he and Moshe come to redeem the Jewish people and to warn Paro of the Makos that he will sustain. So I want to thank you all for listening. Wish you a Chodesh Tov and a Shabbat Shalom. And God willing, we'll start again on Sunday. The new Parsha, the Parsha of Bo. Stay well, everyone. Thank you.